Hello and welcome to my Beaded Gallery. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you see something you like. I have always intended to add this piece to the blog. I've been a beader for about 15 years and I can actually remember the moment I started doing it. When I was little, I spent a tremendous amount of time with my grandparents and was very influenced by them and would play for hours on end with my grandmother's jewelry and her wonderful multi-stranded Swarovski necklaces and bright crystal brooches. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. We've all had grandmothers who have had that kind of jewelry. Or if you're lucky, you've had that kind of a grandma, as I did. And I also spent a tremendous amount of time with my grandfather, who was a carpenter by trade. And when he retired, he then went on to design miniature doll furniture and made miniature doll houses and was always working with his hands. He could take a blueprint of something at full scale and bring it down to a 1-inch scale. He was a craftsman, he was an artist and very good at what he did and very well known. But all my life I was around him. I had my own workbench in his shop, in his wood shop. I'd call it a studio, but it was more of a wood shop. And sometimes we would just work silently. You know, that comfortable silence when you're with someone. We had that. We had that connection. I had it with both of them. But in particular, there was something about the time I spent with him. And when he passed away in 2000, right before Christmas, I was so lost and so heartbroken and thought, that connection is lost forever. What am I going to do? I will never get over this, and I just miss the connection. You know, I miss that unspoken comfort and peace and satisfaction. And clear as a bell, I remember I was in church that year, right at Christmas. They're playing, you know, singing all of my favorite Christmas carols, and I heard Hark the Herald Angels Sing, which is my favorite, and I lost it, just lost it. You know, that uncontrollable sobbing, that, you know, that. So I went to the car and did that some more. And, okay, don't laugh, don't call, well, you can call me crazy if you want, whatever, it is what it is. I felt his presence. And from that moment on, he spoke to me. I don't know how else to explain it, but out of the blue, that moment in that car, in the middle of that ridiculous, well, it wasn't ridiculous, it was my heart, uncontrollable grief. I felt his presence, and he said, we will still be together. You will continue working with your hands, and you will make jewelry. And I had never picked up a bead before that. I had always loved jewelry and loved, you know, sparkly, colorful, bright, shiny things, you know, because it connected me to both of them. And I loved working in his wood shop and working with my hands. And so from that moment on, I became a beader. And a lot of it is self-taught. I have taken some classes over the years, but a lot of it, especially the first 7 or 8 years, it was just reading and experimentation, and very similar to the pursuit of becoming a blogger. You research, you do a little, you have some missteps along the way, and then you regroup and you recover. And that was no different. And I believe that everything we do in life, we have, or we should have, a story that coincides with that. You know, something, there should be a moment. And with everything you do, if you're a male viewer and you love fishing or you love hunting or whatever it is, hopefully there is a story there. And whatever it is that moves you, don't ignore that voice. You know that, okay, so he passed away December 2nd of 2000. And it was 2 Sundays after that. That was the moment for me. From that day on, I was a beader. And sometimes I may not design anything for weeks or for months, but I always go back to it. It's always going home for me. And it's the one thing that I've always stuck with. I can crochet granny squares, or I can do a little bit of knitting, but I do it so poorly. as is the case with a great many things that I've tried. I'm a terrible painter. I can't sketch. I can marginally make a happy face, but that's about it. So there are a lot of things that I'm really dreadful at, but for whatever reason, this is the one thing that I became kind of proficient at. And there are always better beaders, by the way. I'm not saying that. There are fabulous jewelry designers and creators, and I just kind of follow my own path, and a lot of the pieces are freeform. So a few of them are by pattern, but for the most part, I just see something and wait to be inspired. And it doesn't mean that it's inspired by another piece of jewelry. Au contraire. It could be a takeout menu, and I think the colors are really pretty. Or I'll look at a billboard of dog food and think, there's a bracelet there. I just know it. And there's something about that color that will inspire me. Or maybe something I'm feeling in a moment, and then I'll go and I'll sit in my work area and I'll wait. And usually the inspiration comes, just like everything else. And we talk about that here. I talk about that in terms of, talked about it yesterday with the blogging 101, my Confessions of a New Blogger. Okay, so I talked about it there. I've spoken of that with respect to the weight loss series and in the yoga. In all of it, I think you just show up with a willingness and you wait for inspiration to strike. And invariably, it will. So that is my beaded story. I hope you enjoy some of the pieces in the gallery below. I do custom work as well in terms of, commissioned work, and I can work closely with you. And I would need to work closely with you to understand what it is that you're feeling, what it is that you want. And we will do a collaborative project based on that. But there will be pieces that are not as, my stuff is very, look at, okay. So it's a little over the top, but these were made because I knew I would be wearing them, right? But it's not for everyone. This kind of a look, this Victorian or vintage, Swarovski and the Rivolis and the big stones. That's not for everyone, and that's fine. There are some pieces that are younger and hipper and trendier, and I'm not those things, but I can design those things. And I want pieces that are available for everyone. Earrings, bracelets, necklaces, cuffs, all across the board in terms of design and color and price range. So I hope you've enjoyed this, little session, and that's a little bit about the story. That's my story, and I know you have one to tell too in everything it is that you do. So I leave you with that. Thank you for stopping by, and I will see you soon. Have a great day. Bye.